Hi everybody. This is Randy An. I'm the CEO of the company. Actually, I was the one of the persons started the company 2010. I have been away to the 18 industry a couple of years. Then I came back from this year. I really appreciate your time today for this webinar. I really hope that this webinar will be really valuable to you tonight, and I believe our staff will make it that way. They will say that, but also we are preparing a series of webinars more upcoming, so we'll update you on this matter. I'm again thank for your time tonight. I hope you enjoy well. Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you, Randy, the Jedi. So the next person we want to bring into the presentation to kind of give us a state of the union for technical support is Jim Walton, who is our lead tech support agent. Are you there, Jim?
Yep. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Cool.
So what's new in technical support? Why don't you kind of give us a 2-minute summary?
Well, we've changed some things around, brought in some changes. We have a new person named Chris who just started about 2 weeks ago, I'd say. He's learning pretty quickly and picking things up. And we've also implemented a new system for tickets. So when you call in, if you talk to one person, you'll get a ticket, and from there, each agent will be able to see what the other one has done with you, so you won't have to re-explain everything and all that stuff. Other than that, we're definitely here and ready to support you whenever you have any issues with your stuff, with your devices.
Thank you, Jim. Okay, the next person on the agenda here, some of us are listening late in the evening or early in the morning, depending on how you look at it. We've actually got somebody participating in this presentation from tomorrow. Jenny, what's it look like in the future? Ms. Jenny Axler.
You are unmuted by host. It looks like morning instead of evening. Speaker. Sorry, my Polaris is yakking. So I'm actually participating from the Polaris. I'm doing everything from Polaris, so that's worth mentioning, as this is about online collaboration and education and using Polaris. As Earl said, I am coming to you from South Korea, where it is actually Friday morning, a little after 9. And Earl also asked me to talk a little bit about what has been updated as far as our devices, so I'm going to do that really fast. Our eBot device, for those of you who have had issues with iOS 13 and the iPad viewer, that is now fixed. There is a new version of the iPad viewer in the App Store, 1.3.5, that will fix the problems maintaining a Wi-Fi connection. One thing to note is that you do need to make sure that location services are enabled, or this will not work. Our BrailleSense U2 has also undergone an update. We now have version 9.0 available. The thing to be noted about the U2 is that it is 8 years old, and it is running CE. So unfortunately, that means that things are sort of going to continue to become obsolete because the new technologies are not supporting CE anymore, and the APIs that go with that. We have added a Wikipedia search and a podcast search to this firmware, but unfortunately we had to also remove some services that no longer are functioning, like YouTube and Twitter and Google Talk, and we thought it was cleaner to just take them out instead of having you try to continue to use them and they not function. Our Q Braille has also undergone an update. Now with the Q Braille, because it's a Braille display, we generally do not have a lot of feature-packed updates. It's mainly, Q Braille is a very new concept, as you guys know, and we are somewhat still figuring it out as we go. We're learning along with you, and one of the things that we are learning about is just how many keyboard shortcuts we have to program, and unfortunately there's no just one database of everything, and so we are sort of having to do them individually. So the main thing in this update is a load of keyboard fixes. Specifically for the Mac, you can now use the quick nav commands with the left and right arrows and the up and down arrows. And, you know, we based this on a Microsoft keyboard, and those kind of commands don't exist in Windows. So it actually took a little bit of doing to figure out how to make that work, because it wasn't just readily something that the arrow combinations aren't used in any other OS as far as I know. But anyway, we have managed to fix that as well as several Windows combinations. So if you are not updated with the QBraille firmware, please download the newest update, and I think you'll find that much more pleasant to use. Now on to our BrailleSense Polaris, which we are featuring today. We have a couple of really major features that are finally going to get released. Many of these have already been demonstrated and talked about at shows and in the field. We have Exchange Email, which should help very nicely in education. There are many organizations using Exchange Email, and this is a very fast and efficient program. It's easier to use. The interface is very similar to our regular email program. We also have added the macro manager. That has been a popular request from the U2, so we've actually ported that over. And the great thing about that is it allows you to basically program any or automate any task that you want. For example, our competitor has these language profiles all set up, and we don't happen to have that function, but with a macro you can make one. But you can also make an email group. You can, well, I mean, any set of tasks that you normally do every day, you can program it to do. So it goes way beyond, you know, even any specific function, because you can really make it your own and, you know, do what you need to do with that. So those are the major features. Of course, there are a lot of fixes. This release should be pretty imminent in the next couple of days, we think. So look forward to that, and we'll be talking about some of the features today. One of them is Google Drive integration. I'm not going to go into that so much because Earl's going to demonstrate it, but that's also another feature of this new update. Okay, I think I've rambled long enough.
Nice. Okay. So the next section that we're going to talk about is we work a lot with TVIs who want, you know, we've got TVIs who can see, TVIs who are blind, and we try to be sensitive to the needs of the sighted. So we always want to come up with, always trying to find ways for, you know, TVIs who are always out there kind of on the front lines in the mix, trying to be IT, you know, do all the things in addition to teaching kids how to do things, you know, the blindness related stuff. And so what we've determined is it's really very helpful if, of course, you can see what's going on the BrailleSense Polaris. And that, of course, is what this is all about. This presentation is about the Polaris as it can be used as an education tool. One of the things that is really nice is that there is an LCD display on the 32-cell version of the BrailleSense Polaris that can be activated from within the options menu. Is there a keystroke? I don't even remember if there's a keystroke. I always go into the options, the global options dialog to activate it. But what it comes down to is there is a LCD display that you can actually flip, so that the teacher doesn't have to be looking over your shoulder. They can actually be sitting across from you, see what's going on the Braille display. Which is really nice. There's an option for the LCD to be flipped, and it can have a backlight, making it easier to see. You can also change the font to your liking as a person who's looking at the Braille display. Another interesting application for this LCD display is how it can be used as a face-to-face communications tool with a person who is deaf and blind. So if you plug in a USB keyboard and you're sitting across from the person who is deaf and blind, you as a sighted hearing person can type on the keyboard. The person who's deaf and blind can actually read it on the Braille display and type back to you, and you can hold a conversation all day long like that if you'd like to. Another thing is that we've decided with the Polaris, when they were in the design phase, that was before I actually came on board, is that they just didn't want to have a screen on the device itself. In fact, it turned out it didn't need to have a screen in order to be a Google certified device, which of course the BrailleSense Polaris is. But what we've accomplished by not including a screen is we've been able to make it a little bit lighter weight device. If you look at either the Polaris 32 or the Polaris Mini, they're both very sleek devices. And not only is the Polaris Mini, which it's a 20-cell version, but it actually is a much smaller form factor in and of itself. But both these devices can be plugged directly into a smart TV, a monitor, portable, like little 7 or 8 inch displays, and all you have to do is plug them into the HDMI port, and if they power off of USB, chances are very good that they'll be able to power off the USB port of the Polaris itself. Probably a better idea is just to have a battery pack velcroed to the back of the monitor. Like I go around with this very flat battery that I charge up, and it works beautifully. I just plug the USB cable into the battery, plug the HDMI cable into my Polaris, and then you've got a visual representation of what's going on the Polaris. So that works out really well.
Well, good evening, everyone. This is Mike Tyndall. It's good to be with all of you this evening. And I myself, Jenny Axler, and the two of us are totally using nothing but the Polaris. I have no microphones except for the microphones inside the Polaris, as well as Jenny. So the first thing that I want to do is we're going to talk a little bit about math. So we can do simple, addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, as with any calculator. But we also have some scientific functions built into the calculator. And to show you a little bit of that, I want to very quickly go into help. So space with H to bring up help.
Fraction functions, space dots 3-4 list item.
And so we have several items in the help menu. There's things like fraction, mode, decimal.
Statistics functions, backspace
Statistic
T, dots 2,
functions.
3, save to variable, delete all saved items, recall variable, backspace, delete all saved dot, save to variable, statistics function, fraction functions, decimal to fraction, return formula, general functions, copy to clipboard, set options, change calculator, convert unit, enter U, dots 1, 3, 6, list item.
The one that we're going to use right now is convert unit. You heard it say convert unit, enter with U. Now I cannot press enter or enter with U from here because I'm in help. So I can close out of help with a Z chord, space with Z.
Help closed, 200.
Another interesting command that we might want to know is backspace with G.
Calculator braille code, UEB math. Blank, calculator braille code, computer braille. 0, calculator braille code, Nemeth.
And I can toggle between Nemeth, computer braille, and UEB with backspace Z. But I want to do a conversion right now. We're just going to do something simple. We're going to convert Fahrenheit to Celsius. So I'm going to press enter with U because I learned that in help.
Convert unit dialog. Unit, distance combo box.
I see distance. I'm going to scroll down with the .4 chord until I find temperature.
Area combo box, mass combo box, volume combo, temperature combo box.
I'm now going to press the tab key, F3, or I could do a 4-5 chord.
Current unit, Celsius combo box.
Current unit is Celsius. I'm going to change that to Fahrenheit by pressing space.
Fahrenheit combo box. Change unit, Celsius combo box.
And we're going to leave that Celsius.
Input number, edit box.
And I'm going to input a number. Let's say what is 75 degrees Fahrenheit. So
number sign, 7, 5.
And I'm going to press tab.
Convert button.
Convert button. I'll press enter.
75 Fahrenheit is 23.88888889 Celsius static box.
So we see that 75 Fahrenheit is 23.8888888889 Celsius. I'm going to do Z chord to get out of my
blank
menu. I'm now back in the calculator. So I could do another calculation if I wanted, and I'll just do 8 divided by 2.
Unable to use this function. 8.
Let's do 8 plus
plus
16.
1, 6, 24.
Okay. Or I could do 8.
8. 4 divided by 2, 4.
So we have some calculations there. I can now go into my history. So if I want to do enter with H.
Calculation history dialog. 8/2 equals sign 4 1/3 list item.
I have 8 divided by 2 equals 4, and I have 3 items now that's in my history. I could copy and paste this into a document if I wanted to do that, but I'm not going to do that at this point, but I could.
4.
We're going to do a Z chord to get out of the calculator.
Calculator C. Utilities U.
And then we're back at the main menu. I'm going to press W for the word processor, and it's going to open a new document.
Top of document.
I'm going to say Mike Tyndall.
.6 M-I-K-E. .6 T-I-F-D-E-L-L. Tyndall. .6
Math quiz.
M-A-T-A. Math. Q-U-I-Z. Quiz.
So let's just say if I want to do a fraction, I have to be on a blank line when I start it. I can invoke Nemeth code math by doing backspace with M. There is a way in the settings of the word processor, if I do enter with O, I could go in there and change my math code from Nemeth to UEB. And that's an option from within. If you go under File, you go under Setting, and you would find that. I'm going to do backspace with M.
Start Nemeth mode.
And then it's going to write
Number sign.
1 1/2
1. Open mix 1 over 2. Close fraction.
plus 2
Plus 2. 1 open mix number 1
equals,
equal. Number sign.
and I'm going to say 3.
3. Open fraction. Open fraction. Open mix number 1 over 2. 3 open mix number 1 over
And
2.
1/2.
Close fraction.
If I press enter,
Enter.
that's all I need to do to write fractions or any kind of math code into a file. If I do backspace with M,
And Nemeth mode. Blank.
and now I can type in contracted Braille.
.6. 8 here. Ask is. More. M-A-T-A. Math. Enter.
Here is more math. I entered on a new line. I'm going to do backspace with M.
Start Nemeth mode.
And let's just write a simple graph. We're going to write x squared
X2. X super P equal 1. 2. Y
equals
super
y
2.
squared. So I want to graph this, and the easiest way to graph it is to launch our math editor. And to do that, I'm going to press Enter, backspace with the letter G.
X superscript 2 equal Y superscript 2. X superscript 2 equal Y superscript 2. 1/1 list item.
And I now see that I'm in a list view. I have one item here, and those of you who are sighted can see that there is actually a graph on the screen. But being blind, I want to see that same graph. So in order for me to see it, I'm going to press Enter with the letter T.
Converting image.
And in Braille, I now see kind of an XY axis on my Braille display. But I want to scroll up to the very top of this graph. And for those of you who are sighted can see that I just scrolled up to the top. So now I want to see my graph. And so if you watch the Braille on the bottom of your screens, as I scroll down, what I'm seeing is a half circle is joining together, and it's now at the axis, the y-axis. So I'm seeing where it's crossing the y-axis, and now it's actually spreading apart as I scroll on down. So I can see my complete circle, and I saw the circle make the complete picture as I was scrolling down my graph there. I'm going to do space with Z to exit out of my viewing mode to view the graph.
X superscript 2 equal Y superscript 2. 1/1 list item.
I'm still in my math editor. So now I'm going to take this graph and I'm going to insert it into my document by doing Enter with G.
Successfully inserted math graph.
So I am now still in my word processor. So I am simply going to save this file, and if anybody, this file will be saved as a Word document, and anyone who opens this file in Word would simply be able to see the fractions, they would be able to see the graph, everything as you see it now visually, those of you who are sighted on your screen. I'm going to do a Z chord here.
no name. Doc save. Yes prompt button.
I'm going to say yes, I want to save it.
File save dialog. File name, no name. Doc set a combo box.
By default, all documents are saved in my documents folder. And I'm just going to save this here. I'm going to call it math.
M-A-T-H, math. W-E-B-I-R.
Webinar. Enter.
Saving. Save complete. X superscript 2 equal Y
And
superscript 2.
I'm going to exit out of my math editor by doing a Z chord because it brings me back there, because that's the last place I was before I closed the word processor.
Word processor, W.
So I'm now back in my main menu, and I'm going to scroll up to File Manager.
File Manager, F.
And I'm going to find my file that's in Documents.
/disk1/3 list item. Books folder 1/9 list item.
D for Documents.
Daisy folder 2, Documents folder
Enter
3/9 list item. 1.1 Polaris introduction. Hardware margins.doc 7 math export BRL 8 math sample.docs math sample math web math 1.doc math webinar.docs 11.
I found Math Webinar, and it's my 11th out of 16 files. So I now want to copy that to my clipboard. So I'm simply going to press Enter with C to copy. Enter with C as in Charlie.
Copying. Math webinar.docs 11/16 list item.
And I'm now going to backspace.
Documents folder 3/9 list item.
And one more time.
/disk 1/3 list item.
And I'm going to go down to Google Drive.
SD2 Google Drive 3/3 list item. Classroom folder 1/29 list item.
My classroom folder is here. I'm going to press Enter on it.
Learning the BrailleSense Polaris P101 folder 1/2 list item.
I'm going to go down to my math folder.
Math folder
the
2/2
one that I made earlier.
Item.
Press Enter on it.
No items list item.
And I will now paste my file that we just created with all of our math into the math folder so that if the teacher wants to access it, they can. So I'm going to press Enter with V.
Uploading. 0%, 100% sign. Math webinar.doc. Done 1 files uploaded. Math webinar.docs 1/1 list item.
So here is our file, and a teacher could access it. I'm going to stop there and turn it back over to Earl. And Earl and Thomas is going to demonstrate some more of Google Drive.
All right, that's awesome, Mike. Thank you so much for that demonstration. It was a brilliant demonstration of how you can do mixed literary and mathematics. You notice that Mike had your basic equation and some literary braille mixed in with a graph, and you notice that inserting the graph from the Polaris math application was just a matter of doing a keystroke, and he was able to fly the graph into the document, save the entire document, and then upload it to the cloud, basically, to a shared folder. After which point, you know, the teacher can do the corrections and save it again, and maybe make some notes for some things that could be done differently. But now we've got Professor Thomas Simpson here, and he's going to actually show us how to use Classroom, the teacher's side, from a computer. He's going to invite me to participate in an assignment, and I'm going to go ahead and access the information.
So what I'm doing right now is I'm sharing my screen, and I'm in a Chrome web browser. You could use whatever web browser you'd like, but I simply went to classroom.google.com, and from here I have a class that I'm teaching, and what I'm going to show you is how to create an assignment. And what we're going to be able to do is attach a file to that assignment, and then Earl is going to go ahead and complete that assignment. And we're just going to show you how easy it is to use Google Classroom along with the Polaris, especially with our Google Drive integration. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and click on this Create button, and it gives me a list of options. So I could choose between assignment, quiz assignment, question, material, topic, the whole host of different options. And if you're a teacher, depending on how your district or school has it set up, you might have different options here. But in general, the steps are going to be about the same. So after clicking on Create, I'm going to click on Assignment. And then I'm going to give it a title. So I'm just going to name this 4.1 sample assignment. Now I could go ahead and put some instructions here if I'd like. So I'm going to just type instructions here. And then I'm going to go to an add button and click on this. And what that's going to allow me to do is select a document to attach to this assignment. So I click on the add button, and I can choose between Google Drive, Link, File, or YouTube. In this instance, I'm going to click on File, and then I'm going to select a file from my device. This opens up a dialog box, and here on my desktop, I only have 2 items. The item I'm going to select is Reading Documents in Polaris Word Processor .docx. So I'm going to click on that, and then I'm going to click Open, and that's going to place the file into the dialog box here in the Google Classroom. And then if I click the Upload button, that's going to upload my document. Now, when we're doing this with the Polaris, one of the really great things about this is this document will show up in each student's Google Drive account or Google Drive folder if you select the option, make a copy for each student. Now, this is very important. If you choose students can view file or students can edit file, then the document will not show up in the student's Google Drive folder. So you want to make sure that you choose make a copy for each student. So I'm going to click on this option. Now that I have everything in here, I could simply click assign. So I can see that it's saved and that it's been assigned. Now, if I go ahead and click on this assignment, I can see that there are 2 people that it's assigned to. One is Earl, and then one is myself. So now that I have that assignment sent to my student Earl, I'm going to send this back to him, and Earl's going to show you guys how he's going to open up the document and answer the questions. Sound good, Earl?
Sounds good.
All right, I'm going to stop sharing now.
Current view is active speaker. Double tap to hide. Start my video. Enter key to select. Share. Button screen. Enter key to
Okay, so I'm going to share my screen. And I'm going to go ahead and
File manager. F.
go back to the main menu just by pressing the F1. And now I'm going to, of course, the very top of the main menu is our option called File Manager. I simply press enter on that. And I've got 3 options here. I've got the flash disk, SD card, Google Drive, just like Mike showed earlier. And I'm going to go into my classroom folder, and this is the beauty of it. This really streamlines access to classroom content. You know, I do have Classroom on the Polaris, and it is accessible, and we can do things, but it just doesn't get easier than being able to just browse to it within the file manager.
Polaris Word Processor Essential Training Folder 1.1.
Okay.
Earl Harrison Reading Documents in Polaris Word Processor .docs 1.8 list item. Earl Harrison Reading Documents.
What was the name of the document, Thomas?
Yeah, it was Reading Documents in Polaris Word Processor. So it's the very first option.
Earl Harrison Reading Harrison,
okay.
Reading Documents in Polaris.
And I'm just press enter on that.
File Manager F.
Oh.
Word Processor.
Somehow I got booted out. Let me go back in here.
Disk 1.3 list item. Google Drive 3.3 list item. Backup folder 1.14 list classroom.
Classroom.
Polaris Word Processor Essential Training Folder 1.1 list item.
I may have fat fingered it. I don't know.
Earl Harrison Reading Documents .docs 2.
That's the one, right? Enter.
One up.
One up.
Earl Harrison Reading Documents in Polaris Word. 1 objects copied.
So.
Earl Harrison Reading Documents in Polaris Word Processor .docs loading. Earl Harrison Reading Documents in Processor.
Okay, so.
Reading Documents in Polaris Word. Processor.
I'm just reading down a line at a time. I could, of course, turn off speech and just use all Braille.
Question 1. How do you jump to the bottom?
How do you jump to the bottom
of the document?
Of the document.
Answer. Question 2.
Oh my gosh, this is like multiple questions. I didn't know he was going to hit with me. So it is space.
S-P-A-C-E.
Dots.
D-O-T. S.
Um,
Number sign.
to the end, right? 4, 5, 6.
4, 5, 6.
Okay.
Question 2. How do you read by character? Answer.
I'd be really embarrassed if I didn't know some of these, Thomas. I want to get you for this. Okay, so space,
SEACE dash
character, dot,
DOT
6.
number sign.
To go to the
6
to the right, to
O
the right.
62 dot R right.
Is that the right?
Yeah.
Okay. And of course, I'm writing in contracted Braille. And as I'm typing here, and correct me if I'm wrong, Thomas, as I'm typing, we see, of course, just plain text being entered in, even though I'm typing in contracted Braille. And down at the bottom, we've actually got the contracted Braille represented, don't we?
Yeah, so you've got a couple spelling errors, but yeah, you can see the text visually. And then you could also see the sim Braille at the very bottom of the screen. So a dot by dot representation of what will be on the Braille display itself.
Okay. And so if I wanted to, at this point, I'm not going to answer all the questions. How many more we got?
Question 3, how to answer. Question 4,
Yeah.
how do you answer? Question 3, how do you read my words?
Sorry, teacher. I'm going to bail on this. So I'm going to press Control S, or actually Enter S
Saving.
to save.
Save complete. Uploading. 0. 100 Earl Harrison. 11 files uploaded. Question
Okay,
3,
and now
how do
I'm
you
going to
read my
actually
words?
press I'm going to press F2, F3. It's kind of like my Alt Tab,
Task name, Notepad. Task name, Zoom.
and I'm going to go ahead and stop.
Start my video under
Stop
speaker.
sharing
Stop share. Button
my
under
screen.
select. Current view is active speaker. Double tap
And then
to hide
Thomas
playback. Current view is share. Double tap to
is
hide
sharing the
playback.
screen so he can see if he can see the work that the
Amazing
little bit of
video
lazy work that I did.
Features and problems.
Thanks, Earl. All right, so after Earl has worked on his document, yeah, it's really quite simple. So I'm back in my Chrome my Chrome browser on my assignment here. And what I could do is I can simply just click on Earl's assignment, and that's going to open it up in Google Drive or Google Docs, however you guys have it set up. And let's see if it loads. There we go. All right, so now I'm reading this in Google Docs, and I see question 1, how do you jump to the bottom of a document? And he wrote space dash dots 456. And it's really that easy. So it's really great because what Earl just did was he took a document right out of Google Drive, worked on it in the Polaris word processor, saved it directly from the word processor, and now I can immediately see the work that he's done directly from the Google Classroom. There's literally nothing easier. One of the other things that I want to point out here is when we go back to the classroom, we can also see that I have one assigned to myself. And just so you guys can see, I've got this one assigned to myself. And of course, this document within Google Docs obviously has no changes because I as a student, have not actually attempted to answer any of the questions. So what's really great about this is that you get to see the work that each individual student has done, and the students can do this directly from within the word processor on the Polaris, which is far, far more accessible than using Google Docs.
Thanks, Thomas. It really is that simple. Again, you can go into Google Classroom, you can turn in your work. In fact, some teachers might want you to do that even after you did what we just did here, is share the same document back and forth. You might want to, when you answer the questions, you might want to do something like do a save as, and then maybe add your initials or the date, or in parentheses, or the word completed, so that the teacher knows that you've finished the work and they can bring it up and correct it and move on to the next thing. Again, it just does not get any more streamlined and simpler than that. Perhaps some teachers might want you to go into Classroom and click the Turn In button just so they have a date and time stamp of when you completed the work. But that's not a big deal either. So finally, we've got one more section here, and it has to do with the multimedia player. And Jenny, are you with us, Jenny?
I'm with you.
All right.
Okay, so the first thing that I'm going to do, I need to turn on my voice.
Voice on. Current view is active. Start my video. Enter share. Button. Enter key
I
to
need to
select.
share my screen.
Button photo. Enter key to select. Button screen. Enter key to select.
Okay.
Alert. Zoom will start capturing everything that's just checkbox not checked. Don't show again. Press the button. Cancel. Press the enter key to button. Start now. Press the enter. Start now.
Okay, so I did mention some of the updates at the beginning, and we do have many things going on. The menu manager, I think, I can't remember if that was in the last one or this one. It's been a while, but that is a way to allow a teacher to control a student environment. We actually have two functions, and we actually don't put these in the manual because we don't want our students knowing how to activate and do some of these things. The menu manager is accessible to everyone, so you can show or hide certain programs. For a teacher, where this is valuable is if you would like to control the student environment. And the added benefit and characteristic that you have available to you via us is something called function lock mode. And what that allows you to do is to control several options, Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, I believe, spell checker, things like that. And then you can also show or hide specific programs. Once done, when you enter function lock mode, you enter a password to protect those settings. So they cannot be undone unless that password is entered again. And if you do need that, please email HIMSS, and they will give you instructions about how to do that. The other thing that we have is exam mode, which locks the unit into terminal mode. And again, that's done with a password. So if a student is taking, for example, a standardized test via a PC or something to that effect, you can lock it in terminal mode so that they are not able to access notes or the calculator or other things that they maybe shouldn't access. So these are important things to know. That would be as far as education. I did mention Exchange email earlier, which again is going to give you access to a much, much easier access to student email in a lot of situations. We do not currently support Google Exchange right now. However, you can still access Google Mail if it is secure. What you're going to need to do most likely is to use two-factor authentication and use an app-specific password. And again, support can help you if you don't know how to do that. But once that's done, you can also access that via the regular Polaris email program. So we know that there were some issues supporting email. We believe that is all fixed and all enhanced in this next release. So we hope that it will be intuitive and streamlined as well as functional. So Earl asked me to talk about multimedia. And at first I was like, well, what do I want to show in terms of education? And then the more I started to think about it, the more I had trouble trying to narrow it down, actually. There are so many things that it does. Some of them are education related, some of them not entirely, or some of them are a mix. I think they had a buzzword for that a few years ago, as edutainment or something like that. So I'm not going to focus entirely on education because when you're stuck at home with all this, you do actually need to entertain yourself, take a break, and also perhaps play music while you study, things like that. So it's a little bit of both, but I will start out talking about how to access textbooks very easily. So I'm going to download a Daisy book from GoRead. I will show that. That is actually the Bookshare created application. We do actually support Bard Mobile, VoiceStream Reader, Dolphin Easy Reader. Our online Daisy program supports CNIB. So for those of you in Canada, we can also use the Android applications if you choose to do that. So there are many, many sources from where you can get books. You can actually also get them from Amazon Kindle and read them in Braille if you need to do that. But I'm going to go with GoRead. And I'm going to download from GoRead. And although you can use it to read as well, I'm going to read in our Daisy player, and I'll show you why, because we have some special features. So I'm going to go to my File Manager. And I am going to press A for all apps.
Calendar.
And G.
Gmail. GoRead.
GoRead, and I'll press Enter.
Go read quick start. Bookshare.
Okay.
Go read quick start.
And as you heard, it's reading the Go Read Quick Start in the Google Voice. It will read in whatever your default Android voice is set to. So if you have downloaded other speech synthesis like Eloquence or Acapella, you can actually choose which voice you want it to use. Right now, it is just using Google. And that is, again, one reason why you may not choose to actually read in Go Read. The other thing is that you do just get speech, whereas in our Daisy Player, you can get Braille and text selection and all kinds of other features. Okay, I'm rambling too much. Okay, so let's press O.
Button, open drawing menu, enter key
to open the drawer.
Menu.
And I want
list search bookshare, enter key
to search Bookshare. I pressed S. I'm going to press enter.
Book button, open drawing menu, enter key to select.
And I want to do a title search, so I'm going to press T.
List title search, enter key to select.
And I'll press enter.
Alert, edit box disabled, enter title, press enter to enter or edit text.
Okay, and I'm going to search for a popular textbook series. So I'm going to press enter to enable my edit box, and I'm going to search for Glencoe literature.
Glencoe.
Okay, and I just wanted to make sure.
For example, no button, okay, press the enter key to run. Okay, fetching books, please wait.
And it's searching for books.
List Glencoe literature, course 7, American literature, by McGraw-Hill Glencoe staff, enter key to select.
Okay, and that's just as good as anything. I have a whole list of Glencoe titles here, actually. But I'm just going to go ahead with the first one because it doesn't much matter.
Fetching book details, please wait. Author, S, McGraw-Hill Glencoe staff.
Okay, and now I have the details of the book, so if I needed to make sure, I'm just going to press the letter D for download.
Button download, text only. Press the enter key to run.
And you can download text only or text with images, etc. I'm going to do the download text only.
Download started.
And this
button disabled downloading book. Press the enter key to run.
It's telling me that it is downloading the book. This one's actually going to take a few seconds because it's really big. It's an anthology. So
book downloaded. Read book.
Okay, there we go. So I could read the book now, but I'm actually not going to read it here. I am going to go to my Daisy player. So I'm going to press F1D. That's the global hotkey to open that.
Task name, Daisy player. Open Daisy dialog. Glencoe literature, course 7 American literature folder 1 list item.
And it actually came up in my books folder. I'm going to backspace for a second.
Books folder 110 list item.
This is the list of folders on my flash disk, and Go Read creates a folder called Books. So it's very easy to find things once you've done that. I've already been here, so it automatically went inside my books folder for me. So I'm going to go ahead and press enter.
Glencoe literature, course 7 American literature folder 1.
And because this is a folder, whenever you use the Daisy player, Daisy books are contained inside folders. So you have to press space to select the folder.
Selected Glencoe literature.
And then enter to open.
Literature, Glencoe literature, course 7, 40, 70, 100.
Just a moment.
1,800. Library of Congress. Pause.
Okay. So it started to read in my Daisy player, and it was using our TTS. The Daisy player is really amazing in that it's so easy to use with the interface, the buttons on the front of our device. Remember the media mode key. The media mode key switches between media, Daisy, and apps, and that controls what these front buttons do. So I'm going to switch it to Daisy mode.
Daisy mode. Pause button.
Okay, now what's great about this book has lots and lots of navigation. And you can easily change the level of navigation that you want to use with the record key. So I'm going to press that.
Page. Phrase. 5 phrases. Heading. Beginning or end of book. Level 1. Level 2. Level 3. Page.
And I'm going to
Phrase.
go.
5. Heading. Begin. Level 1.
Okay, so now I'm going to use my forward and backward keys to move by this level.
Unit 3, Unit 4, Unit 5, Unit 4, Unit 3, Unit 2.
Okay.
New Nation 1750-1850.
So now I'm going
Liberty, when it begins to take root, is a plant of rapid
Sorry
growth.
about that.
Was.
Okay, so it automatically starts to play. Now I'm going to go to level 2.
Level 2.
And now we'll move by that.
Active reading, the revolution. Independence. People are talking. Firsts. Giants vary as arts entertainment. Critical thinking. Connecting past and present. 1. How would you describe life on the American frontier? Must be pause.
So what I've done is, again, I pressed record to move forward a level, and that allows me to navigate more specifically. And there's even another level that I could go to. So let's say that I am a student, and I've actually just read all of this stuff, and now I'm at the critical thinking, which actually is a list of study questions. That's why I paused there. Again, I can use my global hotkeys and do F1N to open the notepad.
Notepad. Top of document.
Now I'm at the top of a document in my notepad. So I could just type
critical thinking questions.
And then
1 period. Answer. Blah. Blah.
So there I am. I just answered the question. And if I wanted to go back, I can press F1D.
Task name, Daisy Player. Pause button. Play. The important elements of your description. 2. Write a paragraph comparing and contrasting life on the frontier and farms of early America with your own way of life. Include at least 2 aspects of life in your comparison and contrast, such as entertainment, clothing, travel, or topics of conversation. 1. Pause.
So there again, I can read the question and I can easily switch back to my notepad and answer it and continue to do this. So again, this is very, very easy, very intuitive. So now let's say you're doing homework and you actually want to listen to music while you study. This is even better because with the media player, you can access the front keys even when you're in another program. So I'm going to switch to media mode.
Media mode. Pause button.
And again, I'm going to return to my notepad with F1N.
Task name, notepad.
And I'm going to press play. Just a minute.
Playing. Title, track 505, jump MP3, play static box. Pause.
Actually, I should have done that first. Now I'm going to go back to notepad.
Task name, notepad.
And I'll press play. And I can switch tasks or switch tracks. And I'm very much an 80s child. And I can write in my word processor. Those of you on the screen will see I'm still writing, and I can pause. So again, I can control my media, and I can actually go ahead and continue to work on homework or whatever I'm doing. And I can do this at the same time, and it's very easy because my top keyboard remains in my notepad, while my front keyboard will control my media. So we've already sort of gone over the time limit, so I also just want to mention that we have again, we have access to Bard Mobile, Amazon Kindle. You can also use Amazon Music, Apple Music, many mainstream applications. We have added something in this release that allows you to use the media buttons to control background Android media apps in the background. So instead of just pressing play or pause, you press and hold play or pause to play and pause. You press and hold backward to switch tracks backward, and press and hold forward to switch tracks back or forward in the background media apps such as Apple Music or Amazon Music, or even something like VoiceStream that uses the Android media controls. That's another way that you can actually read and or take notes, etc. So multitasking and using multimedia is excellent. Oh, you can also use Netflix on the Polaris. So again, with the entertainment aspect, there are just so many options that work, and actually media is one area where Polaris really, really shines.